Recovery Daily Podcast. I'm your host, Rachel Abbasi. I'm a grateful recovering alcoholic and stroke survivor. And today I just got a text from Bailey, the only person whose name I can say on here. That's not true. I can say Emily's name too, which is my niece. She gave me permission. So Bailey just texted and said she's at Ocean City again. I think she was just there like last weekend or the weekend before. Anyway, I'm like, are you just trying to make me jealous at this point? Yeah. So she took a picture of her blanket in the sand with her book laying there. And I'm like, I want to be there. I do want to go to the beach, but alas, I will read beach books and go to the pool in the neighborhood. And that's pretty good, you know, that's a pretty good life. So I went out to breakfast this morning with a friend, and that was really fun. And then I did some gardening in the 90-degree weather, which I mentioned yesterday. I love yucky, sticky weather. So I did that. As long as it's not like super, super, you can't breathe humid, which my tolerance for it is a little higher. But it's got to be like over 100 and just thick air for me not to want to be outside. So I did a little gardening this morning and sweating, and I'm feeling pretty good. My head definitely was hurting while I did all those things, but I don't know. It feels good. It goes back to that using your spoons and filling your cup, you know, and just balancing it. I'm like constantly on this seesaw and I'm trying to balance it. Side note, I don't know if when you were a kid, you ever you wanted to seesaw so bad that you went to the playground and got on the seesaw by yourself and were like determined to try to make it work. I did. Okay. You can laugh at it, but I did. I tried. I was like, I can stand in the middle of it. No, I couldn't balance that. I can sit on one side and just like jump in the air. But those seesaws, like back in the day, the seesaw weighed, I mean, a lot. You know, tens of pounds. And as a kid, well, it felt very heavy, at least when I was a kid. So, like, just sitting on it and jumping, that doesn't work, by the way. It doesn't work. So, either I was an idiot or I'm not unique and other people tried it. If you tried to seesaw by yourself as a kid, please send me a note on Facebook or or an email so I know I'm not the first an idiot. Okay, let's get to the topic. Today I'm going to talk about fear and faith. I know I'm talking a lot about faith, but I'm telling you, it's like as soon as I started like opening myself up to these ideas like of faith and like I'm willing, you know? Well, I talk about willingness all the time. It's like and I talk about having an open mind all the time, but this is different. I'm actually like, let's see what's there. I'm going to read this book about signs. I'm going to listen to the Bible. I'm going to listen to my friend's Godcast. I did not make up that word. Somebody else gave it to me. But I'm just going to continue to like just open my heart and my mind up to whatever faith means for me. And maybe I can make mine stronger. Maybe I can keep building on this very thin foundation of faith that I've started and see what blooms from it. And it's just like everything around me is talking about faith. Everything. So I went out to breakfast, like I said, with this friend, and she just started talking about, well, I mean, I didn't start it either, the topic. We sat down and she's like, I'm like, how are you doing? She's like, I'm really leaning into this whole faith thing. And I'm like, me too. So, we were just talking about the different things that we're doing to try to figure it out. And I've also heard on the news, I've heard this in several different places, that faith is starting to be like the cool thing that people are doing. And I'm not doing it because I want to be cool. Obviously, I'm already cool. I mean, look at my hat. Look at my Recovery Daily podcast logo hat. I mean, I'm already cool. So I'm doing it because it feels good. It's giving me something more than just my day-to-day existence. It's like all this fear that I've been having since my stroke has opened me up to the awareness that there is so much more going on outside of my little world. And I didn't want to see that, if that makes sense. I did not want I feel safe and comfortable in my own little world. I don't want to think about the universe. I don't want to think about death. I don't want to think about sickness and how we all only have today. You know, I talk about that. We only have today. Well, I don't really like to think about that we only have today. And I know that that makes sense. Even though I say it, I think I really haven't been wanting to think about it, is the best way that I can describe it. So I've been feeling like I'm forced into, because of the fear of having another stroke or not being stable in my disability, you know, like either getting all of a sudden getting well again and not knowing, well, what do I do? Do I go out? Do I go back to my old career? Like what, you know, having this just like uncertainty again, extreme uncertainty. Or it gets worse and I need to depend on voiceover again on my devices, that kind of thing. So just living in that fear it makes me feel so unstable. And I've been talking about that this week, like leaning further into my spirituality, as I talked about yesterday, and making that stable so that no matter what happens physically with me, I can rely on that stability that is within me. And so, alongside spirituality, I guess a piece of spirituality is faith. And I just feel like all signs, if you will, are pointing towards me continuing to broaden my awareness around faith and educate myself. And I think what I've tried to do over the past 4 years since I had my stroke is I've tried all different things in order to subside my fears. The first one was this. The first one was this podcast. And if you go back and listen to the very first episode, you can hear the fear in my voice. My voice was shaking. I was crying because I didn't know what to do. I was really just flailing around in the deep end of, you know, in the ocean, and I just didn't know what to do. So I just started hitting record. I don't know why. I don't know why I leaned into having a podcast. It was just, I didn't even think about it. It's just something that I did, and here I am, and I'm just continuing to do it. So I don't know. That's my purpose, and it was something like that I just walked into, and I don't know if it has to do with my higher power and it just being like put in front of me, like, this is what you're doing next. And I just did it because it wasn't a question. I just did it. I don't know how else to describe it. It wasn't something that I had, dreamed about. It wasn't all I can say, because I've talked a lot about lately, since I'm listening to this book called Signs. I've been trying to share with you things that have gone through my mind in the past, but I blew them off. And being doing a podcast is something that I thought of once. I can't even tell you when it was. It was when I was working at my last job, and I thought, like, I can't even tell you what emotion is connected to it. I wasn't thinking, oh, it would be great to do it. I'm scared of doing it. I want to do it. I definitely didn't think I want to do it. It's just the idea of having a podcast crossed through my brain, and I don't have any emotion attached to it. And when I started this podcast, same thing. It just crossed through my brain, and I didn't feel any emotion attached to it. It was just something like that was the next thing for me to do. Anyway, I'll stop trying to explain it. So the podcast was the first thing that I did to talk about my fear, because I felt like I'm not the only one who has ever felt this fear before, what I'm feeling. So I got to talk about it. And then I was also in the business of trying so hard to connect with people who had a stroke and had a vestibular disorder like me, because I could not find anyone. In 2 years, I couldn't find anyone who had the same symptoms as me. So the podcast was definitely a way that I thought that I could find someone. Someone will hear me, and reach out to me, because I couldn't do research because my head was hurting so bad. I could not do a lot of research. I could only do audible research. So I could only use voiceover and, browse the internet using my ears and listen. And it was, I learned how to do it, and I ended up finding the vestibular.org website doing that. But I had a lack of confidence in my ability to research because of my eyes. So I thought, I'm going to broadcast. I'm going to broadcast about my pain, and somebody will find me, because I didn't think I would be able to find anybody else. So here we are, and we have found each other. The next thing that I started to do to deal with my fears was to start doing these hobbies. So I had made a list this morning, like, what was the order of things that you did in order to try to tackle your fears, or get rid of your fears, or ignore your fears, or face your fears? Like, what did I do? So the podcast I wrote down first. The next thing I had written down was hobbies. And I think that hobbies have served several purposes. One is to fill my cup, because I felt like, okay, I'm doing the podcast, so I feel like I have a job. I gave myself a job, and the payment for that job is connection. So what else do I need? I need to find joy. I need to find joy some way, and maybe if I find more joy in my life, the fear will go away. Well, guess what? It didn't. It didn't go away, but I found some hella good hobbies. So I have all these hobbies now. You can't stop me now from doing hobbies, but the fears are still there. So I really got to the point where I was sinking, and I wasn't going to be able to dig myself out of it by myself. And I remember this was a time when I was doing the podcast in my closet. For those of you who have been listening for a long time, there's a period of time where I would go into my closet and do the podcast. And I know that sounds weird, but the reason I was doing it in my closet was because I felt I didn't want my husband to hear me because I felt kind of stupid talking to my microphone and nobody was there. And there were times when he was sleeping and I was recording, and I thought that's why I started going in there, because it was the quietest place where he couldn't hear me and I wouldn't wake him up. Um, at least I thought it was. And yeah, so it's silly, the ones that I'm in my closet, but whatever. um, so I talked when I was in that period of time, I talked about going to see a psychiatrist. I remember recording a couple episodes during that time and I was crying because I was just so lost. I feel so sorry for that woman who was just struggling, you know? So I started seeing a psychiatrist and talking to her, and I started to feel better. But what I was sharing with my friend today at breakfast was that I approached my psychiatrist in a different way the first time I started seeing her last year. I approached her in a way that I know what's best for me, and I'm going to tell her what I'm suffering from, and then I'm going to tell her what my solution is, because I know best, right? I know what's best for me, and I practice my sobriety program and all of my affairs. I have the answer, it's just not working. That was my mindset. So when I went to her, I had my little remarkable tablet, and I'm an overachiever, so I would write down my notes of what I wanted to talk about that day. And then I would write down my solution. And the solution was in the steps. And the solution was the tools of the program that I have learned by working the steps. And so things started to feel better. And, she listened and she provided suggestions and stuff, but I was totally not approaching the relationship, I think, in a healthy way. So I ended up feeling like, yeah, you got this. So I stopped seeing her. And then this year, I started sinking again. I started having that feeling again, like my awareness had like opened up like a wound, not like a flower, like a wound. And the fears started coming in again. And I just started obsessing once again death, about death, really, and about just, I don't know. I get very sad that we're here and then we're gone. And I start feeling almost like, what's the purpose? Like, why do we fight so hard to end up dying? Not to depress you, but that's where my mind goes. So I started seeing my psychiatrist again. Same psychiatrist. I told her the first time when I met with her again, I said, I have to do this a different way because I don't think I was listening to you last time. I think my ego was taking over and I was just coming to tell you about, what, not looking for help. I was there to tell you what my problems are and what my solutions are. So today I still struggle with it. Sometimes I'll bless you, Boris. Sorry, Boris sneezed. Bless you. Um, so now I try to, I still struggle with like starting to tell her what I think I need to do. And then I'm like, no, no, stop. What do you think I should do? Like, what is the way that's healthiest to approach this? So, it feels good. I'm enjoying our sessions much more. I don't feel like I'm, on the rope. What's the terminology? I don't know. I'm on the rope for giving the solution. On the rope doesn't sound right, but you know what I mean. Like, I'm not there to give myself the solution. I don't have to have the answer. So it just feels good, and I really like her. It's probably the best connection I've ever had with a therapist, or this is the first time I've seen a psychiatrist, but it's been the same as, like, just the experience has been the same as seeing like my addiction counselor that I went to for 2 years. And I loved my addiction counselor too, addiction therapist. But I feel like this is what I need at this time in my life. It's really good. So I'm getting a lot of that, and it is addressing my fear, but not fully. What it's doing is it's allowing me to talk about my fears, but I still don't have what I'm looking for. And so I need to open up more. If I'm not finding what I need, what within my fingertips, then I need to open my arms wider. That's the way that I'm looking at the situation. And that's why I started listening to the Bible. So now I'm listening to the Bible, not consistently, but I'm trying. It's a big deal to decide to listen to the Bible. So I'm trying to give myself grace. But I also have this book. It's right beside me. So I'm just going to go from the microphone for a second. So just play the Jeopardy music. Cue. Okay, I'm back. So this book, I'm going to hold it up for those of you who are on camera. It's called The Life Recovery Bible, and it's got make sure I don't lose my place. It's also got a life recovery workbook, and then there's also a life recovery journal, which I have not opened, but what I'm trying to do is listen to the Bible, and I'm listening to the New Life. Oh dear, now I gotta look that up. Play some more Jeopardy music, people. I'm gonna look it up. Oh wait, it's on my phone. I can do it pretty quickly. I am risking head pain, but we're just gonna do it real fast. It's the New Living Translation of the Holy Bible. That's what I'm listening to. And it's like a regular talk kind of Bible. Like, it's not the language that I don't understand. It's like very easy to understand. It's almost translated too much, where I'm like, okay, that's not what it says. But it's good. I mean, it's working for me. So listening to that and reading this New Life Recovery Bible is giving me both another angle of learning the Bible, but it's also allowing me to practice reading words on paper, because that's part of my problem with my disability. So all of that is helping me in multiple ways. And so I've been starting to feel like, okay, I'm only in the beginning, right? I'm only in, what is it? Genesis. Yeah. I'm only in Genesis right now, but it's still, I know the stories. I've watched the Easter Jesus movies and stuff, so I know the stories. But so I'm trying to, though, stay where I'm at in the story right now and get what I need to get from where I'm at. And it's good. I don't know. I feel like what it's doing is it's filling some of that expanded awareness. It's filling some of that with the I guess acceptance that even though my awareness is opening, I don't have to control that stuff. I don't have to control the universe, even though I'm becoming more aware and um, thoughtful about life and death and existence and the universe and all of that stuff. I'm becoming more aware of it, and I can't seem to block it out anymore because of this life-altering health event that I've had. Listening to the Bible and doing things like reading this Life Recovery Bible and listening to my friend's new Godcast. I hate saying, I feel like that's offensive, but it's not. It's a Godcast. It's a podcast about God. And it's about life too, so I don't want to diminish it. It's how to live with faith, and it's great. It's called the Double Dose Podcast, if I haven't told you guys that before. Make sure you put in the Double Dose Podcast. So doing all of these things is allowing me to let go. I think that's the term. It's allowing me to let go of the control that I already don't have in that big space that I'm being very hyper aware of right now. Um, so that's helping. And then the book, Signs, The Secret Language of the Universe, that's helping because it's just freaking cool to think about that there's something else that we can't see. And that is the book about signs is very much acknowledging God in it. I always like watching the medium shows where the people like come in and they're like, did you have a dog named Fluffy? And they're like, oh my God, yeah, yeah, that. I always like watching that. But I never heard them relate so much to God when they're doing these readings, and that's this book does. And so I'm liking that. So you see, it's like coming from all these different angles, and that alone feels like a sign. It's like every conversation I have, I don't even bring it up. It's the first thing the person says. And that's exactly what happened today when I went to breakfast. I didn't know that that was what she was doing. I haven't seen her in a while. And we sat down. It was the first thing she said, first thing out of her mouth. And I'm like, this is what's happening for me. And I want to continue to welcome it. I want to continue to keep this awareness open. If I can keep my awareness open and not be fearful of it, wouldn't that be something? Wouldn't that be something? I want to be open to receiving. So, another thing that keeps coming up every single day is fear. Okay. And I have this, I think I shared this yesterday. I'm not sure, but I'm doing step 4 again with my sponsor. And when I did step 4 the first time, I just did a list of my resentments. Like, who am I mad at? What role did I play? What's my character defect? I didn't know that you also review fears in step 4. So I have this worksheet now. I'm holding it up for those of you who are not on looking at the video. It's a worksheet, just like the resentments worksheet for step 4, but it's review of fears. And so I'm like, okay, I'll fill this out. I'll do the fears thing. And then every meeting this week has talked about fear, every single one of them. And then this morning I logged on, and on Saturdays, we do daily reflection. And if you go on to today's daily reflection, it's called Fear and Faith. And these are the two things that just keep repeatedly coming up for me today. Or this week. So it's just, it's beyond fascinating to me, excuse me, that these keep coming up. And something that also keeps coming up is either God is everything or he is nothing. And with if God is not everything, then nothing makes sense in my life. That's a topic that came up for me this morning, and I wrote it down. Either God is everything or he is nothing. And without him, nothing makes sense to me. And that's what I'm finding. I'm finding that I'm trying to make sense of stuff that I'll never have the answer to, period. I will never have the answer to my fears. And so I need to find another way. And what is happening is I have this new self that is unfolding. Just like yesterday or the day before, whenever I wrote down a note, spirituality is a metamorphosis. So is faith. And that's what's happening for me. So I'm just going to keep doing it. I'm just going to keep opening my arms and just being open to whatever, open to receiving. And what will be, will be. So that's what's going on for me today. And I feel good. I feel good about that. So thanks for listening. And I will talk to you tomorrow.